It's your girl, Shakyra Mabone,
Jada, Vasser,
and Anthony Brinson, and this is All Shade the Chocolate, where we bring
the sweetest,
the hottest
Black culture to MSU. After 3 weeks, a lot of mess, a lot of random occurrences, we have the wonderful, the talented, the very great human being known as Demonte Thomas. We can give you a little clap.
Thank you.
How you feeling, man?
Great to actually be on here, after 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was crazy. His first debut, we thought we was gonna get his debut, but shout out Alex Walters, he pulled it off before us. Shout out, but no, it was great to have you get the jitters out and get your first experience being on the camera and stuff. If you wouldn't mind being a little closer to the mic when you talking, but other than that,
it is sorry.
Yeah, that should be good. Getting your ASMR back. He was doing that right before the pod. We were like, oh, here we go. On this episode, we're gonna be tight. Anyways, just one of the first things that we were discussing even before we started recording is how we met. So, do you want to do your perspective first or mine? How we met?
You can do yours first.
So, I love telling this story and it'll perfectly segue into just how talented this young man is. But I was in the Communication Arts and Science building. If you guys aren't familiar with it, it's right next to the Education building. And I think I was coming from class. And if you guys are familiar with the Com Arts building, and if you aren't, there's a big lecture hall that most journalism students, when they take their first journal class, this is really where it's the room you're in. What's the name? What's the guy's name again? Start with a P. The professor.
Parks.
Shout out Professor Parks. But it was that class, and I had went in that room. I was walking past that room, and I heard a little tune on the piano, and I'm like, wait a minute. If I'm not, was the All of Me by John Legend? Was that what you playing at that time?
Yeah.
So I hear that, I'm like, that's one of my favorite songs. I've period. Like, who's playing that? And it sounded incredible. So I go in the room and see somebody on the piano, and in typical Anthony fashion, don't know who this person is. I just walk all the way down to him and be like, you are incredible. Like, I just have to tell you, like, I heard you all the way from, which I did, from the door where, like, the 33 bus stop is at, the door by the gaming systems. If you go out and then hit a left from the Com Arts room, I'm like, I heard you all the way from there as I was about to leave out. Like, you literally stopped me in my tracks as I was walking out. I'm like, wow, gotta go back real quick. So, yeah, and then I ended up finding, like, one of the other times I saw him in there, he was wearing some anime merch, some Dragon Ball merch. So I'm like, oh, yeah, we gang for real. We could talk. But, yeah, so from your perspective, how would that day go, and then with how we met and stuff?
Yeah, basically, like you said, it was, I want to say the end of Journalism 108 with Perry Parks. Shout out Professor Parks. But, yeah, I was playing the piano like usual, and like you said, I was playing John Legend. Just practicing, and then I see you come in, and Anthony, no offense. Like, hi, how are you? You play so well. And I was like, thank you. Like, nice to meet you. But we just like had like a great conversation about me playing that song, my passion with playing piano, and I want to say after that day, there will like be like different incidents to where you'll see me, I'll see you. We'll both say hi. But I would like to say that was like the first day, like our friendship was created. Just like basically through like John Legend, if you want to be honest. So, or just me playing piano. So,
Yeah, and I've always told people, not even just you, what impresses me most about people is when they can do something I can't do. And like I have a bit of experience with piano because I was in varsity choir and I can play you like middle C and all that, but the fact that, and you can talk about this once I say it, but like you've taught yourself how to play and like you play from ear. Like when he started playing All of Me, he was like, yeah, I've been working on some other songs. I'm like, I'm sitting there like he just played like just out of the blue from his head. So that is such an incredible talent. I was telling you, the only person I'm familiar with in my life who can do that is my cousin. Shout out Renee. She can play. She taught herself how to play the piano. She plays by ear. So to meet someone else other than outside my family do that, I'm like, this is a talent that's just very rare. Yeah. So if you want to talk about I guess to just perfectly transition into the instruments you play, because instruments with an S, I find out, you play more than just the piano, correct? Yeah. So just to start at the piano, why did you learn how to play the piano? And then could you talk about the process of learning?
Yeah, so like basically piano is like one of the many instruments I learned how to play over the last couple of years. But I want to say it was 9th grade marching band. Shout out Mr.
You were also in marching band.
Yes, marching band. Shout out to my band teacher, Mr. Manicky. But it was just like a regular day. before we started class. I said, I want to like start playing the piano. So I just like started playing Heart and Soul with like just one finger each. Like, dun, 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 like you get it.
Who's that song by?
I'm not sure, but
Okay.
it's like, dun, dun, dun. Yeah, you get the sound.
Mm-hmm.
So after I did that, I said, okay, I'm gonna learn some. Who else was I playing? I can't remember his name, but I was like practicing his song. Like if you speak to any of my other friends back at home, they'll say, okay, yeah, he was practicing that song for like weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But I just learned the piano like just like that. Now, if I'm being honest, I watched like a couple of YouTube piano tutorials, but not. I never took like any kind of piano lesson classes. Instructor never taught me or anything like that. It's kind of like, okay, I'll listen to the song a couple of times, pick up the melody, find a chord for that song, and then just put it together.
And
So
that's so incredible because how do you know what chord matches what note? Like, just to think about how singing works, especially, and shout out Elle, she's also in here, and she also sings and been in choir. To understand how to sing a certain note a certain way is hard enough. So to hear it and play it, to emulate, it's such a phenomenon. Like, how do you do it, bro?
I'm not even sure, honestly. Like, if I'm being honest, I've been playing piano since 9th grade. I'm a sophomore for context, and I still, to this day, do not know like the actual names of each key, like the white or black keys. I just memorized them. Yes, I have perfect pitch. Yes. And you see, that's the thing. It's not like something everyone can have. It's just like, okay, you just have it. But yeah, like basically, it's like, okay, I'll listen to the song a couple of times, depending on the melody or depending on how fast it's going or how slow it's going. Listen to it a couple of times, find like I'm not sure if the camera can see, but like find like the chords, whatnot, and then just put it together. Rehearse it a couple of times, and then that's the song. So
That is incredible, man. And it's just like I don't know if you're religious or not, but it's like you're genuinely like just really blessed and talented, and it's so incredible. And I'm gonna swing it over to Jada and Shakyra because I can imagine they have just as many questions as I do. But I want to ask, like I mentioned, you do play multiple instruments. So what else do you play other than the piano?
So I want to say the first instrument that that I first played was, I'm gonna say, the baritone.
That's the instrument?
Yeah, it's like a tuba.
Oh, okay.
You know, like
cool.
it's similar to a tuba. I want to say like 6th grade. But beginning 9th grade all the way up to like my senior year, I played trumpet. I want to say I was a tenor. I'm not sure. I forgot. But trumpet, and then around the same time, piano. Yeah, I think that's it. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. And Jada, Shakyra, if y'all want to ask something.
Why are you here today?
That's
What is your purpose? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I'm basically here to show. You can cut this out if you need to, but basically show everyone who I am. Because if most folks are not familiar, I am the new student affairs reporter for the State News. Also, like to congratulate you on the great work you have been doing so far.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. But just let folks know that I'm here, and if you have any questions or news tips, whatnot, just let me know. It may look like I'm like busy or like on the phone or whatever, but I promise you, I have the time. So yeah.
I was gonna ask. So, how do you like, the Students Affairs reporter? Like, talk about your work, your recent work, or whatever.
Yeah. So I love it. Just talking to a bunch of people, or students, I should say, hearing their stories and hearing basically their experiences on campus. And unfortunately, it's been mostly negative. I feel as a reporter, my top priority is telling someone else's story, mainly if that story may never be told at all. That's kind of what really got me into journalism. But so far, being a student affairs reporter, I love it. I love each and every second. And yeah, I just hope to continue the great work that I'm doing. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
And to give a real quick shout out to Shakyra, because I'm pretty sure Jada had a question as well.
Mm-hmm.
You have a very good, you and Jada, and I always shout out Samaya as well. You have a good vision for talent. Because, like, same way you student affairs reporter, like, she was the former podcast coordinator, now the position being called podcast editor. Mm-hmm. She knew I had a podcast and believed in me, and she believed in you that same way. So just thank you to Shakyra for that. Yeah. And, again, not even just Shakyra. I was telling Elle earlier that All Shades of Chocolate wasn't my creation, my idea. It had really nothing to do with me. It was more so Shakyra and Jada and Samaya, to my understanding. So just for them to take that and then bring it to where it is now, dope for both of y'all, and then Samaya as well to do that. And then for Demonte as well, objectively, not even just because he's my friend, but a pretty good student affairs reporter. As soon as he got here, he's getting stories out. Like,
I knew that. I knew he was going to be on it too. That's why I was like, yeah, come be the student affairs, you know?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, yeah.
Like, your work ethic is very impressive, man. I don't say that to a lot of people, so not even just as your friend, your work ethic is great, man.
Thank you. Appreciate hearing that.
No problem at all. Dr. Vasser.
I don't have a question, but shout out trumpets, because clarinet and trumpets play the same part in marching band. So I technically can play a trumpet. So shout out to the trumpets and the clarinets. Shout out to them.
Thank you.
We talked about this on our episode about just y'all being, or you specifically being in marching band and stuff, and you were in marching band too, right, Shakyra?
Yeah.
Just the dynamic of the marching band and how everything comes together. That's also something very impressive. Like, y'all play what we sing choir-wise, and then sometimes, to just keep it real, y'all do it better. So
the strongest can survive in a marching band.
Yeah, that was, again, one of the main things about the episode as well.
I'm not lying, for real.
Was Jada was telling me how it's a sport, and once you break it down, it's like, hey, can't take nothing away from you. But a very interesting dynamic between you and Jada Demonte, y'all being on this podcast, is y'all both are twins.
Yeah.
Y'all both come from a set of twins, both two fraternal. Are you fraternal?
Yes.
Two fraternal twins. So just, how is it from your perspective, especially a set of guys, how is it being a twin? And just how do you feel about it?
Well, I love it. I really do. Appreciate my twin, TK. Love him to death. But yeah, just being a twin, it's been a great experience. Now growing up as like little kids, like fighting, but yeah, it's been a great experience just telling people like, yes. So to give y'all context, Elle is holding up certain questions to ask from her perspective as well. What'd you ask?
One question. I asked earlier if you had perfect pitch, but what I just said, if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I have a set of brothers that are actually twins too.
You did tell me that. Thank you, Elle, because that's a very dope. How does that dynamic work of you being a set of twins and then you have a set of other brothers who are also twins? That is... the science behind that is crazy. So
I know the fight's going there. It'll go crazy.
But yeah, no. It's pretty much just like a regular experience, like siblings experience, whatnot. But being a twin, I would say, obviously has ups and downs. Like, yeah, my twin, like he's taller than me, he's stronger than me, you know. But at the end of the day, I love saying this: we're both smart. We're both excellent, and we are both going to do great things and bring some great positive joy into this world. So
that is incredible. As so do you? To my understanding, you have a brother that isn't a twin, correct? Does he ever feel left out at all, or is that ever a thing? Or
I don't want to say he feels left out. He's the oldest, of course. But,
okay.
Yeah, so I'd just say like, it is what it is. Like, we're all just chilling, you know, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I have a very interesting question I've talked to Jada about a few times as well. But with you being a twin, how do you carve out your own identity? How do you separate from being the twin brother and just being Demonte?
That's a great question. I would say that growing up being a twin, of course, just being like fraternal, like we're not like identical. Like The Shining, you know the movie The Shining, like the
sort of
the two twins and all and whatnot, movie reference. But I would say I just kind of build like my own personality. My twin TK, like we both have like different personalities. It's a great thing actually. It's not like a negative thing. I would say for my personality, I just kind of like carved it out by myself at a young age. Figured out, okay, there's some things I like same as him. There's some things I don't like. I just kind of like took that and just kept on going with it. If that makes sense. So,
it does. It does. And from my understanding, from what you told me, you two obviously y'all both don't go to the same school. So how did that process go of like separating from your brother? Like, was it hard? Was it easy? How did you make the decision to go to Michigan State versus where your brother was going?
Yep. So I will say for certain, when we both left, when I went to Michigan State, when he went to Morehouse.
Shout out Morehouse, HBCU, right?
Yes.
Shout out to him. Shout out to him.
Shout out to Morehouse. But I will say for certain, even though like, I get to be by myself, but joke aside, I cried like when we left. When he was the first to leave. And I will say I cried my eyes out like a baby because it's kind of like I grew up with him. He's like my first best friend. So, just like the whole concept of, I'm going to Michigan State, which is PWI, and he's going to Morehouse with his historically black college and university. I didn't really look at it that way. I'm thinking, well, even though we're going our separate ways, we're both still connected, not only like phone or whatever, but like emotionally, spiritually, we're both still connected. And going back to what I said, like we are doing great things. We're going to continue to do great things. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. And I have another interesting question, probably the most interesting question of them all between twins. Who's the oldest? Who was born first?
I feel like it's you.
I plead fifth.
Okay.
No, he was TK was born first.
Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah, I'm the baby in the family.
Do you know how y'all names was decided? Because usually twins, the names kind of pair up together. So how do you know how the process of like Demonte and TK was there ever?
Honestly, it's a story, but no, not really. Yeah, like if I'm being honest, like TK and Demonte kind of sound.
Oh similar. Yeah, you're right. I did that second syllable. That is.
Okay, yeah, like the syllables and whatnot. What most people don't understand, like the name TK it's like an actual name. It's not like like an abbreviation of itself, like Terrell Kennedy. It's an inside joke, family inside joke. But yeah, no, I don't really know like that whole process, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest myself, like, how did that happen? But yeah, no. My name is Demonte, and his name is TK. So, I'm taking y'all back to English class with this.
Listen, hey, give us the lesson,
like
bro.
Demonte, like you get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I hope that answers it. So,
it definitely did, and with you being a part of such a unique family, I want to say shout out to your family as well. And with the career paths y'all have chosen, I'm not familiar with your brother's career path. If you want to inform me during your answer, you can. But just in general, to take a more serious approach of Shakyra asking, why are you here? Why did you become a journalist? What about the field of journalism intrigued you?
So if most people, which I imagine, don't know, I am from Flint, Michigan, born and raised. Okay. Shout out to Flint. But we experienced the Flint water crisis. And as an elementary schooler, being told like one day, you're no longer going to be able to drink like the water through water fountains, or just seeing how our city was portrayed in different media organizations, some positive, some negative, that just kind of already awakened something inside of me that said, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to become a journalist, tell stories that are not being told, because fortunately, Flint's story was told, but there are like many other stories that are not told, like Benton Harbor, Michigan, Jackson, Mississippi. List can go on and on that don't even get like coverage on like nightly news and whatnot. But with Flint, like the water crisis being like the push, I kind of always wanted to be a reporter. I remember telling my grandma when I was like a child, I'm still a child, but, when I was like a little baby, getting ready for school each and every morning, I watched the news, especially those snow days, Just,
oh yeah, we all tuned in on snow days.
It was NFL draft or whatever.
But I just want to say my school never got canceled. So
which school you talking about?
Oh, I'm talking about like elementary, but CPA too.
Bro, they never. Bro. Joe used to be so frustrating. But keep going.
That's messed up.
Right, it'll be like next. But don't get me started.
But yeah, I told my grandma. I used to always tell her every once in a while, Granny, I want to be the man with the microphone. I want to be the man with the microphone.
That is so adorable.
So in a way, like now, I'm literally the man with the microphone. I think like the word microphone itself, it could mean like any other thing, like the man with the pen, the man with whatever. It don't even just have to be like the man with the microphone. It can be the one with the microphone, whatnot. But I think that just kind of pushed me to journalism, and basically where I'm at right now. I hope that I'm setting a great example to those that want to pursue journalism, because if those that are familiar with journalism, it's not always sunshine and rainbows, unfortunately. But we have a responsibility not only to ourselves, but to the people that we work for, to the people that we write these stories on behalf of, or just serve their communities. But yeah.
With your career in journalism so far, and it doesn't even have to be just the state news, but what's been your favorite thing you've produced? Whether it be a story, a video, a photo, because he's very great with the camera as well, another thing. But just what's been the best piece of journalistic work you've produced?
I would say for sure, just talking to many student organizations, mainly student organizations of color, BSA, Black Student Alliance, or MSU NAACP, just writing stories on the ongoing racial and harassment incidents that's been happening on the campus for God knows how long. Just writing stories like that, making sure people are aware of what is happening, what is continuing to happen. I feel as though that's, in my opinion, my greatest accomplishment, because I was always taught education matters. So education through reading an article on Black students facing racism, or reading an article on Asian students or whoever, just urging the university to do more and addressing the racism and harassment and whatnot on campus. I feel as though that's education. And it's a bunch of people needs that education. But I would say for sure just writing stories like that is my greatest accomplishment so far.
I want to ask, with you writing those type of stories, and you mentioning while being student affairs reporter so far, the coverage has kind of been more negative than positive. Does that weigh on you at all in terms of having to take that on your shoulders and being in the position of working for the state news and being a student affairs reporter? Is it hard on you at all, or does it go naturally?
I would be lying if I said at some point it didn't feel like, okay, this is getting out of hand, just writing these stories, because I will tell these stories if they are happening, but I don't want to tell these kind of stories because it should not ever happen. Especially as a Black student going to a PWI, that itself is kind of like, okay, well, leaving out the Black journalist aspect, at the end of the day, I'm still a Black student who may or may not go through the same experiences that I'm writing about. So, yeah, at some point it kind of just weighs in, but I always have to remind myself these stories, they need to be told. And like basically, if I don't tell the stories, or if state news don't tell the stories or whatnot, they may never get told, which is kind of like my philosophy when it comes to journalism, if that makes sense.
It definitely does make sense. And I want to ask, and at first I was throwing through my head, like, should we talk about this? Should I ask this? And if you're not comfortable answering it, then you don't have to. But it was randomly brought up to me the other day, and you relate to it heavily with you being impacted by it. But it's no secret, at least out in this newsroom and even outside this newsroom, some of the unfortunate events that have happened recently, more so to just say it more specifically, the Monkey Day situation that happened. And obviously we haven't addressed it on this podcast yet, but I feel comfortable asking you more specifically. with that happening right around the time, if I'm not mistaken, you were just becoming student affairs reporter. How did that make you feel, one? And then how did you make the decision to still work for the state news and represent the state news after that?
So thank you for asking me that question, honestly. The whole incident, when I first found out about it, it was like embarrassment, if I'm being honest. Because like you mentioned, just had an interview on the previous week for a student affairs reporter and got the position. And then the Monkey Day incident happened. I'm thinking, wow, like, this happens. I want to say it was a mixture of embarrassment, confusion, and a little bit of anger, if I'm being honest.
Why anger?
I don't want to say anger, but I'm trying to find a word. I don't.
Just disappointed.
Yeah,
perhaps?
disappointment.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't. Yeah, and I don't ask that to shy you away from it. I want you to explain why you felt that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's basically when that happened, it was like, well, I'm working for a news organization which unfortunately has a history of controversial things, especially with the coverage of the 1989 BSA sit-in. If you don't know, you don't. Or just any kind of coverage. So I'm thinking, wow, this is really happening before I start my position. So my decision to stay with state news, I was with it 100% because my mentality is, if I leave now, what kind of example am I setting to the young black boy potentially back in Plant who want to become a journalist, or to anyone who are still in school who want to become a journalist? What kind of example am I setting if I just let this
you make me zero too.
What kind of example am I setting if I let this one incident that should have never happened get to me? Where in journalism, and unfortunately come next Tuesday, we will be covering more unfortunate things. So it's kind of like, well, I can't let this get to me.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I have a job. I have a responsibility. State news reporter or not, I'm still a journalist. So that's my personal responsibility to make sure that our voices are getting heard. The voices from any student on campus is getting the coverage that it deserves, and make sure that they know for a fact that their feelings are valid. Everything that they think, they see, they feel it is 100% valid. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate your answer. And to give our audience more context of what the situation we're referring to, just in case if you guys don't know. So, and I'll try to explain it the best way as possible. So the state news produces a newsletter, I think every day, every week, every day is
weekly.
Every weekly.
Yeah.
And there was a day that, from my understanding, that there was a lack of ideas available for the newsletter this day. And with how I was also informed the newsletter works is that we make money off this newsletter. So it needs to get produced on the days that it needs to get produced. And the person who was writing the newsletter, I'm not sure, and I'm not too comfortable exposing the person, quote unquote, but most likely if you know about the situation, you know who it is. But they wrote the newsletter and they decided to do it on Monkey Day. And it was it also included a video of a monkey peeling a banana. And while I talk about the situation all the time, and it's like, I can't believe I'm actually saying this, the reason why this was so impactful, one, if I just left it there, most people, especially most black people, can understand the issue here. But the main issue was that this was right after we did coverage on a black student suffering racism on this campus. And it even got as extreme as people apparently calling into the state news and saying that we view that young man, or we view black people as monkeys due to that Monkey Day incident, which is freaking absurd. But this impacted the black community of the state news and just the black community of MSU immensely because, one, it's a PWI. It's not a lot of black students here as well. But like Demonte also referenced the 1989 sit-in of the BSA, we almost had a 2024 version of that as well. And also give our audience and anybody else who be wondering context, we have done our part as the black students, a part of this newsroom, to make sure that this story or this situation doesn't get buried, and to even talk about it on this platform that we have now. At the end of the day, what the unfortunate truth was for the people outside this newsroom was that we are the black students that work for the racist organization. And the reason why I put quotation marks over that for a reason, because based on what actually goes on in this newsroom and this podcast even existing, I don't feel that the organization that we work for is racist. But I do understand the perspective of somebody else outside this newsroom who does not know the situation, or does not know us, or does not listen to this podcast, or doesn't know what goes on in this newsroom. Mm-hmm. And another reason why I bring it up specifically for you is because during this situation, you acknowledged and expressed that being specifically the student affairs reporter while this is going on is just, it wasn't the best look at the time. So with having that, how did you maneuver that when it was fresh? Because even now, even with it not being fresh, quote unquote, like I mentioned, somebody randomly walked up to me at my other job and was like, hey, how'd y'all handle that Monkey Day situation was going on? And my heart sunk, because I'm like, wow. Like, I genuinely did not realize that this, like, people know about this. So how did you handle it? Especially being the student affairs reporter out of all positions.
So when I first officially started working at the State News, I just got to work, honestly. Now, personally, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, wow, this is an incident that should never have happened. And this has happened and when I wasn't even employed at the State News. But as not only a student affairs reporter, but as a Black journalist, we historically talk to Black student groups like BSA or MSU NAACP. So my thoughts was, okay, instead of just approaching it at like the corporate way, approach it as like any kind of way that as a Black student I would, which is just
be frank. You don't gotta hold back.
Just basically. I'm sorry.
No, you good. Yeah. Take your time. But say what's on your mind.
This whole part can get edited out. Sorry, or get edited together or whatnot. But basically just take my job one day at a time, because I knew and I still know that with the Monkey Day incident, that still to this day do not sit well with a bunch of student organizations, Black, white, whatever. Personally, still don't sit well with me since it happened. But my mentality is just take it one day at a time, work on what I have to, and just keep moving forward, because that's all we can do at the end of the day, just keep moving forward. Now, I'm not saying forget what happened, because we should never forget what happened in that newsletter, but we need to take what we learned from that experience and use it to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And to also give our audience more context in terms of just how we've done or what we've done moving forward, I'm going to first acknowledge that the situation wasn't okay. No matter how it happened, no matter when it happened, especially when it happened, with it happening in general, it was not okay. And the people in this newsroom know that. The person who made the error knows that, and we know that as well. And whether you guys may unfortunately not see what goes on in here since you don't work here, all four of us, really all of the people in this room, Elle included, have done the best we can to represent the people of color in this newsroom and on this campus, and to talk about that it's not okay. Because even I think it was Elle specifically who mentioned that a lot of the times it was it or the situation. Even I started off by saying the situation instead of saying what actually happened. And that unfortunately is what happens to our culture and our people pretty much daily. But if you don't want to overdo it or OD and say daily, very frequently. And even though I'm pretty sure all four of you guys know personally that I've been experienced with an issue that, to give y'all context of what ended up happening, nothing happened. There was a situation that happened with me and a white individual. I won't get into context here because not to take it the spotlight away from this, but nothing happened. I was physically assaulted by a white person and nothing happened. And if the roles were reversed, if the Monkey Day situation roles were reversed, we are very aware what would happen if it was a Black person or a Black student. So for us to even
we would have been kicked out.
Yeah,
we would have been fired. In my situation, if it was reversed, I'd probably be dead. So that's just the truth of these situations. And to have that in the back of our mind, like, dang, we just got to deal with it. Like, that's sometimes the expectation, and it's always, or almost always, the reality. It's just we have to deal with it. Now, luckily, and I see L about to comment on it as well. Hopefully, you spoke really loud last time, so it may not. They may hear you. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, you being physically assaulted by a white person did not happen at work.
It did not happen at this job.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it did not happen at the State News. It happened at the Breslin Center.
Also, earlier, when he was talking about the articles for Monkey Day and the black student, they were physically back-to-back on the same page.
Yeah.
The headline looked like
it
was a
talking
photo of the black student.
So to give context for the viewers and listeners.
Thank you for letting me know.
Thank you. With each newsletter that is produced, basically we would have the top story of the morning or top story of the day. Now, on this day, it just happened to be, not only the Monkey Day caption and the video of the orangutan eating the banana, but unfortunately it was in the top story of that morning was the story that one of our reporters have done, talking about interviewing one of the students, talking about their experiences as a black male student here at Michigan State University, the racism they have endured, the harassment, whatnot, and it's not just him, it's countless other students. So when you put two and two together,
it's
a. I'm biting my tongue because I don't want to curse on podcast, but it's.
I'll say it. What you was gonna say?
It's messed up. Yeah,
it's
messed up.
And
yes.
No, you can keep going. My bad.
But basically, it just juxtaposed. I'm not sure if I'm
the juxtaposition between.
Yes.
I think I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but that just made it even worse, honestly. So.
Yeah, I mean, just to use your word, hopefully I use it right. Just the juxtaposition between having a story of a black student experiencing racism and then right next to it a story about a monkey and making it seem, at least to really everybody, but to people outside this newsroom, that it was combined and when it wasn't supposed to be is...
Yeah, it was just bad.
Yeah.
And historically speaking, sorry.
No, it's okay.
For those that don't know, term monkey being used in term of... black person, it is and has for decades has been considered a slur, same as the N-word or any other term that I'm not going to repeat on this podcast, but to have Monkey Day and the top story talking about a black student talking about their experiences of racism on MSU campus, I don't know, it's a wild situation. I say wild because it sounds crazy just talking about it or just saying it.
Yeah.
Sounds like something that is made up, but it's real. So.
And I'd want Jada to end this segment on her end or her thoughts, because if you guys aren't aware, we are me and Jada are the diversity representatives of this newsroom. And before I give it to Jada to just give her thoughts in general and her speaking about it, I'd want to just acknowledge that. And it is just unacceptable. And I want to say to the black students here at MSU that you matter. The young man, I hopefully I don't want to pronounce it too wrong, Mikeese, I end up reaching out to him personally. We met up, we talked about it, and really, actually, he's a great guy. Most of the conversation wasn't even about the Monkey Day situation, but the parts that were, I told him that just from black student to black student, it was just unacceptable. And it hurt me to see him hurt and to hear his hurt. And for him to even be seen as the face of, even just the face of black students was an error for it to seem like that, and then for it to be combined with the Monkey Day situation. It was just very disappointing, especially working for this newsroom, knowing the standard that we try to show. We didn't meet that as a newsroom, and it was very unacceptable. And to all the black students that are here, not only do you matter, you deserve to be here. You did the work to get here at the predominantly white institution, and it being a PWI doesn't make it any good or bad, but we know how certain things go in the world in terms of black people having opportunities, and we have to fight for them very much tooth and nail almost every day. And especially black women specifically go through things that no person, especially no man, can understand. So just to have these situations happen to our community hurts, and just like we've always had to put our hands up and be like, well, that's just another situation that happened. But I've spoken enough, and I would really appreciate it if Jada were to just to take the mic here as the other diversity representative here.
I don't mean to laugh, but when you think about this situation, I mean, it's not really much to say, but it's just a shame, you know? I mean, it's kind of what I said, like Anthony was saying, we've had countless meetings about this issue. We're trying not to let this issue die because it's something that I want to keep fighting for in my own career. Social justice issues and the Black community are things that I always want to talk about, and I'll never start talking about it till I leave this earth. That revolves around Black mental health, Black family trauma, Black bonding, and all of that ties into the things that I want to fight for with my journalism career. But to have it be put in the place that I considered my work and the place that I did my working for, it just kind of flipped the perspective for me for a lot of things. And, you know, it just took a lot of conversations and a lot of breaking down that as a Black person you automatically have to do when talking to somebody and getting them to understand your side. But to do it here, it just kind of flipped my perspective of where I am and how I always have to, you know what I'm saying, just keep that guard of they're never really going to understand you. You know what I mean? Like, they can say that they understand. They can say that they want to do this for you. They can say that they want to be there for you. But they're not going to really understand. And even in the conversations we've had, we've made very good progress. And I'm very proud of the work that we're going to do here and the work that you guys are going to be able to see being viewers and, you know, hearing all the things we're going to continue to talk about on this podcast. But it's the hurdles that you have to jump through to get to that ending. And it's the hurdles that it kind of makes like the people who are affected relive. And it's kind of those situations to where if you're not Black, you're never really going to understand. Like, we can paint this beautiful picture up here about how it felt and how do we find out and what were our first initial reactions. But the real reaction, like the words that we can't even say or like the reaction we can't even put into words, you'll never feel that unless you're Black. But I know some Black people out there that felt that way, which is why I want, you know, me and Anthony have had conversations and want to make sure that we hear you guys. We know what you're saying. We understand why you feel the way that you do, and we're going to fix it. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how, but we're going to fix it. We're going to try our best to if we can't put it back to where it was, we're going to keep going because that's all we can do now. Like you were saying, Demonte, we can only keep going forward. But with going forward, I also feel like it puts me and Anthony, specifically being diversity reps, and kind of everybody here at this table, in the perspective to, we got to put the fear aside. The fear that comes with speaking out and the fear that comes with knowing that I could talk for 20 minutes, but you're only going to hear 5 minutes of what I have to say. But you got to put that aside because you'll never get to the root or get to what you want to fix unless you combat that fear. Now, I'm not saying that's not going to come with consequences because I'm sure we've dealt with all of our experiences of trying to combat that fear and talking about our issues and just being shut down and not heard and, you know what I'm saying, just not getting the result that we wanted. But it's that you have to keep doing. Because once people see that you're going to keep doing that, they're going to hear you eventually. Because nobody's about to be yapping in your ear. You're just not about to hear them at least one point or another. You know what I'm saying? But it's just that part that if you see us do it, like kind of Demonte was saying, I want us to be the example for the freshman Black kids or even the 8th graders or the seniors in high school who are thinking about colleges and thinking about what they want to do with their lives and how they really want to uplift themselves and uplift the communities they come from. We are those examples. We all, in our dreams and aspirations, want to do that. We want to be bigger than where we've came from. But to do that, it comes with a word I can't say on the mic, but BS. It comes with the BS that we have to go through, and the stuff that sometimes we got to rub off our shoulders. Like Anthony said, he went through a situation where nothing happened, but sometimes you got to rub that off your shoulder and keep going, because nobody's gonna let you dwell and wander in that situation. It sucks. But it's something we have to do. But we want to shoulder that for you guys. We want to, take that burden on and show you guys that this institution, this organization truly means what they say when they mean. They care about the Black students here. They care about the coverage. And trust me, you're going to see it. You want to know why you see it? Because we're in those budgets telling them to put it in there. We're in those meetings telling them that, no, this story needs to be on the front page. This story needs to be right here. The first thing people are going to read is going to be that story. And when y'all read it, man, we got some story for our Black History Month print issue. Yeah, they eating with that one.
Look out for stories from me and Demonte.
Oh yeah, look out for stories for them for real. But it's that drive that all of us are doing. Them being the reporter side, and then us being the more like organizational or editor stance. We're all it's a collaboration. Whether you see us talking or not, it's all a teamwork effort for you. We're doing the work to show you that yes, we are here, and yes, they're telling the truth. I know it's hard to listen. I didn't want to listen either, and I'm here. But listen, because we're here, and you can't listen to them, listen to us, because we telling the truth. But yeah, it's a shame. I ain't even gonna hold you know. That day I was like, "Are you serious? Are you really serious?" Like you said, you can be a journalist. You can do different things in your career, but you're always gonna be black first. So that black side of me, I was like, "Are you serious?" You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it's the other racist white institution, doing the racist thing. But I'm like, wait, I work here. So it's not the white racist institution. But how do I tell that to y'all? Because y'all not going to believe me, and y'all are sure not going to believe them. So that's kind of the position we have right now. But trust us. Just stick with us. If you stick with us, you're going to see. Stick with us.
Yeah, and you mentioned something important. That's just the unfortunate truth of having to keep moving forward, because what's unfortunately true is that these issues are not going to stop in the world. I have got a quote from my dad that he said, racism is never going to go away, period. And unfortunately, with how time has showed us, that's unfortunately true. Mm-hmm. People are always going to have hate in their heart. There's always going to be negativity in people's hearts. And if we let that stop us, then we won't tell our story. And we won't be able to tell y'all's story and elevate everyone to get to where y'all want to be on the mountaintop.
We will not be silenced.
We won't be silenced. This is literally a podcast, so our job, we get paid to talk. And before we transition into the less serious things, I want to say a big thank you to the organizations like the NAACP and the BSA, because BS needs to be called out. And if nobody ever said nothing about it, we probably wouldn't even know about it. I wouldn't have known about it if nobody would have brought it up to my attention. So thank organizations like y'all. Thank the people who come to us, even upset, like, hey, this is some BS. Why are y'all not talking about this? And I luckily realized during this recording, we didn't even discuss it on the podcast either. Because, unfortunately, sometimes we're, I forget the word, I think doctrinated is the word I want to use, to not talk about these things, to brush it past or brush it off our shoulders, to just let it go or get through it. Or, as one person said, if you know this reference, to shut up and dribble, pretty much. So that's what's been the demeanor people hold towards the black community for almost since the beginning of time. So thank you to the people who called it out, and we wouldn't even be here talking about this without y'all. So thank all of you who are listening, and thank y'all for mentioning this. With that being said, with transitioning more to other topics on the with Demonte being on this episode, first of all, I just want to give you another thank you for being here.
Thank you for letting me come on here. After 3 weeks too.
Even though we jokingly said talked about it, things go on in our lives a lot, almost every day. So for you to sit and have the time to still be here and to still answer these questions, talk about yourself, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Like I mentioned when we first met, you were wearing anime merch, and specifically Dragon Ball Z merch. So I want to tell the people why Dragon Ball Z is the greatest anime of all time. But also really just talk about how your love for anime and what does it mean to you. And again, do put an emphasis that Dragon Ball is the greatest anime of all time. But yeah.
Like Anthony said, Dragon Ball is the greatest anime of all time. I said that with a lot of bias because I want to say Dragon Ball Z Kai. Specifically Dragon Ball Z Kai, not Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z Kai was the first, well, not the first anime I watched, but the first one I actually sat down to watch. I want to say it had to be like the Ginyu Force saga or like the Frieza saga.
Hey, taking me back.
Yeah, man, that just kind of got me into anime, really. I am currently watching. I still have yet to see Chainsaw Man.
It's good. I've watched a few episodes and then read a bit of the manga. It's good.
Tokyo Revengers first season, man.
You hipped it.
It's great.
Bad.
It's great.
Listen.
Yeah, I haven't watched the second one that came out since they moved to Hulu and everything, but you know. But yeah, I just love the culture itself, especially the culture has within the black community. Now, if most of you don't know, Megan Thee Stallion, of all people, she is a huge anime fan. She is. I'm trying to think. Did she ever say what her favorite anime show is, or?
If I were to take a guess based on how much she has showcased, it would be My Hero Academia. Okay. She's cosplayed as Todoroki. Mm-hmm. She's talked about My Hero a lot. But again, she likes just anime in general. So I don't know specifically her favorite. My personal guess would just be My Hero Academia.
Yeah, and I think she's supposed to actually go to some kind of con. I forgot the name.
Yeah.
Like an anime con, like a few months from now. I think.
It makes the kid in me happy to see how represented anime is. Like, just very recently, as recent I can remember, like middle school, like I remember being bullied for like anime. Like I bring Pokemon cards to class and people was looking at me weird. Still to this day, or very recently, an adult asked me, it was like, why do you watch that weird stuff? Or those weird cartoons? And it's like, if you really, that's the main answer. But it's like if you get it, it's one of those like if you get it, you get it things. Everything isn't for everybody, so anime isn't gonna be for everybody. But just I wrote a paper about this. I've talked about it on my own personal podcast. I talk about it with y'all as much as y'all listen to me talk about it. The impact that anime has had on the world, specifically the black culture, it feels as though two cultures collaborating to have a voice. And with obviously Asian culture and Japanese culture, they've had their own struggles with America, but struggles in general in the world. So to get their voices heard, and then for the black community to combine themselves with that, and we all get our voices heard as the minority, it really just makes me happy. And then to see like Usher dressed up as Gojo, like I haven't stopped talking about this since he did it. He's shout out him, he about to perform in the Super Bowl, go 49ers. But to see people openly express it, like people like Bruno Mars is a JJK fan. Like, what happened? L is alarmed.
I didn't touch anything, but it stopped.
Oh, crap baskets. All right. Well, so
I swear to you, I didn't touch it.
No, I see you out the corner of my eye. You didn't touch it. So this has also been a random issue. Sometimes the podcast will just stop. Maybe it's just tired of us. Maybe low key. Though we don't know.
Do you think it's saved?
It will save, but like since it stopped, like this isn't getting picked up by the computer. But luckily the cameras have great audio. So luckily, Brad, if you can keep the audio from here forward, you can. But if something doesn't work out, then we can work it out. Maybe we'll have to have like a separate YouTube and like put a disclaimer that the audio didn't. It stopped at a certain point. Me and Brad are trying to take care of that from the audio.
It worked the last time I looked up, it was at 47 minutes. So if it did cut out, the only thing it missed was your conversation on anime.
Yeah. Oh, like it didn't just cut out. It cut out a few minutes ago.
I just looked up and it stopped. But the last time that I had seen it was at 47 minutes.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, me and Brad are trying to do our best for the editing. Crazy enough, if I'm not mistaken, well, nope. Because I was about to say, this only happened while Shades of Chocolate. But I remember you was at the computer one time and it stopped. Was that me and Elle?
It happened to us.
Yeah.
So I don't know what is up with us and the podcast stopping. But, yeah, thank you guys for even sticking with us even after the audio was ended, which is crazy. But, just to continue on, dang, near lost my train of thought from that. But just to see the representation anime gets in general, it really makes me happy. And like I mentioned, we got people like, and these are big names like Usher, Bruno Mars, Megan Thee Stallion. Those are big names, especially big black names.
Bruno Mars isn't black.
Yeah, he's not.
Oh, dang, you know what? Thank y'all for I forget. Right?
No,
right? Bro, I didn't mistaken that so many times. He is not a black man. Right?
He's Filipino.
Filipino,
color, Puerto Rican, and Ashkenazi Jewish.
Out of everything she just named, black is not one. Crazy. Shout out Bruno though, because you could have fooled me. But with that being said, like we've mentioned, or like I've mentioned and alluded to before he's even gotten on this episode, this is a man of many talents. So he has a prop with him behind him if he'd want to show it. This man can also draw and paint.
That was you?
Yes! Look, if you want to show both camera, or just show this one so that way it may see it both of it. But just one, if you'd be comfortable talking about what this painting represents just in general, because it's a fascinating little oh yeah, shout out Jada. She gonna hold it on this side as well.
You take commissions?
She's gonna... But, yeah, so if you could talk about the meaning of this portrait you've painted, and just in general, how'd you learn how to paint, what it means to you, just take it away, man.
So I would like to put a full disclaimer that I seen someone else on Instagram do like the original frog laying in the bed saying man.
Mm-hmm.
Or not even me, but like the painting, but I just kind of expanded on it. Added like the whole buildings and the Coca-Cola sign, the rug, the glass of water, or whatever. But I was in Texas and just painting it. It was like during like vacation and whatnot for Thanksgiving. Took me 3 hours to sketch. Well, 3 hours total. At least an hour to sketch it, just to make sure that everything's like okay. This how I want it. Then like extra 2, just like paint the overall canvas. Now, the message that I love
that this painting gives is this frog could be saying man for like whatever reason. He could be saying man because he forgot to turn off his light on his dresser, because of the bright billboard lights or the Coca-Cola sign, or because he has a window, or because simply he left his glass of water on the side of the room. But this painting has a message in it, and it basically matters from like who looks at it, I would say. So, but yes, painting that, I painted a different Kermit the Frog painting, which I don't have with me. But I just love drawing and painting. So yeah.
How long have you been painting?
So I want to say the past year, honestly. Like I always would just like draw, do like little doodles or whatever. Like actually painting. I think that's like my greatest accomplishment. Like that's my baby. So yeah, no, I've been painting for I think almost a year now. So
Nice.
That's so impressive that like in just a year's time, like you can produce something like this, and then the thought process of like what could he mean in the painting and just getting the idea. Like again, friend or not, you're just a very talented individual. And what I've also noticed, and I want to ask you about, is you're a very soft-spoken individual. And I just want to ask, like, does that come more naturally, or like, because obviously everybody has emotions, and I can imagine certain things get you riled up. I'm messing with you with one of them about the Lions losing and the story I heard you acting up in this newsroom, but just with the things that go on.
I'm going to mention that too.
Right, yeah. So I'm trying to, after this is going to segue into that. But just with the things that go on in this world, and even when like your patience is tested, or just in general, how do you keep such a soft-spoken demeanor about yourself?
Well, I'm trying to think.
You just say F them? Okay.
Nope. No. But yeah, no. I was always taught. Well, not always taught, but at some point in my life, I was taught. Well, you just have to keep yourself in a cool manner-ish way. I guess the way I talk, it really depends on the way I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, I can get angry. I can get mad. I'm a good person, but I'm not a nice. I'm just kidding. But no, I never really thought of like myself being soft spoken. Because if you guys like know me, like I talk like louder than this. I'm not going to talk louder for like this for the sake of whoever's listening. I don't want to burst your eardrums, whatnot. But yeah, no, it's just if it's like something messed up, I say, well, okay, just try to keep myself under control, keep myself calm, and whatnot. But Super Bowl.
Yeah, let's talk about it, man. I heard you was really out of character, and shout out Elle for even hosting. They hosted a watch party for the Lions game in the newsroom. Shout out Elle, the work she's done as staff representative. Again, from going from Shakyra to Shakyra and Jada to Elle, all of y'all have done a pretty good job at being staff reps.
Listen,
but
we tried. Staff rep, it's some work. It's a piece of work. I'm just saying, like we tried. So.
But it's very needed, and thank y'all, and you more specifically since you're current staff rep, Elle, for the work you've done so far. I've seen it. It's been really dope.
You guys make it fun.
Oh, we appreciate that. But yeah, man, I heard you was real out of character. So talk about it. Let's talk. Let's tell the news.
Talk about it.
Let's get this out of my He done took the glasses off. Shaking his head, man.
Whoa.
It's a handsome young man right there. I got to tell myself so much.
Right? Look at that adorable face.
It was fourth quarter.
It started in the fourth quarter. Okay.
Now, I will say, leading up to the fourth quarter, everyone's in like great spirits, of course.
Yeah, whole world.
Yeah. Greatest spirits, I would say. The beginning of the game, we're like, okay, we got this, being cocky, whatever. Second half, like, okay, we got this. They scored, but you just have to keep doing what we're doing. Don't let them score anymore. We going to the Super Bowl. Halftime, it was okay. we still have this, but now they're actually starting to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
So third quarter was the beginning of the end. I know that sounds dramatic as hell.
No,
I mean,
no, it that's where it all went wrong. Let's just say it. I mean,
Yeah,
what?
but you know, and shout out to the 49ers, even though they're most likely not watching this podcast. Hashtag not sponsored. They just kept scoring after scoring. Each play that they ran was great. While the Lions, unfortunately, something happened after that halftime to where fourth quarter it was almost unwatchable. The last, I want to say 2 minutes. The last 2 minutes. At that point, you guys could I was
fuming.
I was mad. I'm thinking we did this great. We came this far all season for 2 minutes. After the game was over, I was just.
I heard you do something. Let's talk about it.
My phone. But it's okay, by the way. But I was all season long, we come to this moment just to lose. I went a whole tirade, in a good way, of course. Sports, whatever. But I was saying, forget the Chiefs, forget the Niners, and forget Usher too. This ain't stuff. And now listen, wait.
Oh my God, bro!
I have to look at the camera for this.
Okay.
I was mad during the moment. The moments after we lost. The whole country was rooting for the Lions. So I said, forget Usher. I don't mean that. I'm sorry, Usher. I'm sorry.
Man, yeah, shout out Usher, bro. You know, emotions get high, especially with sports. And especially, like, you pretty much stole my next words. I was talking to my dad, and especially him, we're used to this. Like, unfortunately, as if you would ask people in the newsroom, I kept saying, like, go 49, like, they're going to win, because the Lions just have a way of lionsing it up. And, like, you get a good season, the best season they've had.
So you jinxed us.
Statistically ever. Well, wouldn't a jinx be if I cheered for the Lions and then, or said they was going to win? I don't know.
But he putting bad negative energy in the air by saying,
I just put the truth, bro. The Lions they've been doing this. They've been doing this since before we was born, literally, bro. Like, and then it sucks. Yeah, they were. It sucks because, like I said, you stole the words out of my mouth. They let the world down. Like, the Lions have a way of doing stuff that, matter of fact, Detroit teams, no shade, all shade, but just have a way of doing this to where it ain't just a loss. Like, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Boy, oh boy.
Well, at least they won that game that night.
That was the problem. As soon as the Pistons win, Lions blow again. That's probably what conspiracy theory. Dun, 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 dun.
We had to sacrifice one Detroit team for the other.
Right, and it's just
can't have them all. I mean,
I don't know.
They even got me believing, because if you know me in my personal life, like some people consider me a Detroit team hater, and I would agree because I can't say the word. We've sucked for a very long time. No, well, I don't watch baseball, but two, they suck too. Sometimes they suck too, but man,
do you have a Tigers hat?
So very fun fact. Like I mentioned, my dad, at least he retired from being a Lions fan because they do stuff like this. But he's a pretty big Detroit team fan. And when I was shopping for my hat, I was joking like, hey, can I get can I get that color from like a different state? He looked at me like, stop playing with me. So yeah, but also, just in general, this again, sports wise, I could talk about Detroit teams angrily for a while, but just
that night, I let
some
emotions ride that night.
Somebody made a joke, was like, they was just really scared of a ghetto Super Bowl for real. Just imagine Baltimore and Detroit in the Super Bowl. Oh man, it would have been crazy.
And Usher performing.
And Usher, oh yeah, they like, oh no, we can't let these have a Super Bowl.
I mean,
you actually say the word. So yeah, but that's what they would say. Hey, not my words, bro. They like, no, we're not about to let these. We're not about to celebrate like that, bro. They had to cut it short, bro. They like, oh yeah, we got to get them out of there.
What is wrong with you, bro? What is wrong with you?
I'm just quoting. Don't shoot the messenger. But no, really, just even you came from Blanket. The Lions they just have a way of doing it, man. But with the Super Bowl approaching. It's actually, by the time we're recording this on Friday, so it's going to be on Sunday. It's going to be out after the Super Bowl. So we'll see who really wins. I don't know if y'all got winners or predictions about that, but I just genuinely feel, I felt this way since the middle of the season, that there's no excuse for the 49ers not to win. I mean, this team is stacked. And really, that's just it. The team is stacked. I don't feel like the Chiefs got nobody to stop Christian McCaffrey. But on the other hand, it's a bad man on the Chiefs. Number 15 and number 87, Travis Kelce. And they got the Taylor Swift effect. They already got everything in their favor, and they got a lot of history behind their back. By the way, just let me say something pretty quick. Some of y'all is really sexist in this world. Like, Taylor Swift being shown during the games is not that big of a deal. Get off her back.
Chill out.
And by the way, they put out a stat that says she's gotten over the NFL has earned over $300 million just from her presence. I would be shifting the camera towards her too, like, listen, get on her every time. So, but if y'all a real football fan, leave her alone. Like, when it was Travis Kelce's brother, Jason, y'all was all for it. So let's not do that. But with that being said, I got one more thing I want to talk about, and then we can get out of here. And again, Brad, thank you if you can still manage to keep all this and use this for the YouTube. But two of us specifically, more so Demonte, since he's our guest, but we got some wrestling fans, and three, me included, at the table. So just, I don't know if you've seen, if both of y'all have seen all the news. Even Jada, I'm pretty sure you've seen the news with, like, the unfortunate part of it, the Vince McMahon stuff, but also just WrestleMania. We're in WrestleMania season. Let's talk about it. So, yeah, we don't got to discuss. Y'all, if you know about Vince, he's not there no more, so he's not even relevant to the company. But with just give your thoughts on it a little bit. I do. It's the Vince McMahon. It was special. But, so just, it's WrestleMania season. Just get your thoughts on it in general, though.
After what The Rock said yesterday.
Man, listen, let's talk. So, do you want to give context?
I think you could give better context.
So, to give context, and mind you, this storyline has been so great, it's brought me back into wrestling. To give a little bit of background, like, this was my, like, anime and wrestling, my childhood. Like, I stopped watching wrestling consistently very recently in my life. I think, like, right before the pandemic, if I were to give, like, a guess. But this was a big part of my childhood, to the point where, like my a lot of the males in my family watched WWE at the time when it was WWF wrestling. And, like, my granddad, one of my granddads who passed away, rest in peace to my granddad, he had, like, a lot of tapes, like, wrestling tapes. I would sit and watch every single one. It's part of the reason why Stone Cold Steve Austin is my favorite wrestler of all time. Really? Get the beard, man. But it was a big part of my childhood, and it was important to me. But as time went on, they kind of went through some rough patches, and then I just got older, so I didn't watch it no more. But I had wrestling, man. I had the ring. I had, like, a lot of ring. It was all.
Did you have a belt though?
Yeah, of course. I had WWE champion. Hold on, matter of fact, let me look at the camera. WWE champion, Intercontinental champion, US. I was all of it. Listen, I didn't have, like, the tag team title, but I was the champion. But I think very fun fact, I had the gold World Heavyweight Championship belt, and my wrestling name back then was Mr. Excellent, bro. That was my name. I wrote it on the belt. I'm like, listen, this who I am. But to give context about what's recently happened, so right now, what's going on is there's centered around a few wrestlers, but the main wrestler surrounded around, his name is Cody Rhodes. He comes from a historic family, the Rhodes family. I think, if I'm not mistaken, isn't Dusty Rhodes from Michigan? Or, like, something like that? So, please check that. But I think their father, who has passed away, I think he has something to do with Michigan, or just in general. But while they look up to fact check me, to correct me or not, or to correct or confirm me. But they come from a royal family, and Cody Rhodes is, I think, the youngest of the.
He's from Austin, Texas.
Yeah. Austin, Texas. So, yeah, my bad on that. Thank y'all for fact checking me on that. I heard something about, it's something Dusty, I think, but I'll try and find what I'm talking about later. But Cody Rhodes, they come from a historic family, and Cody Rhodes' trajectory in the business has been kind of up and down. He started off as an up-and-coming superstar, and then he ended up, I don't know if he got released or he just left the company for a few years. I think they say he left or was released in 2016. And then he went on to help, I think, found a competing wrestling organization known as AEW, All Elite Wrestling. And he was there for a while. And while this is all happening, a wrestler by the name of Roman Reigns is getting rose up in the business. Like, they're putting him in big matches. He beat The Undertaker. I think he was the second person to beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. They're trying to make him the face of the company, but it wasn't really sticking for some people. I actually always liked Roman Reigns and The Shield like that. But when The Shield came on to WWE, him, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, crazy. As y'all can see, similar to anime, if you know me, I can geek out about this for hours. But, so, they're trying to build him up to the star of the company, but it isn't really sticking until the pandemic. So from my understanding, I don't even know the whole story of it, but when the pandemic arose, they put the title on Roman Reigns, and he just felt more comfortable getting into his character. He called himself the Tribal Chief, and he was beating everybody, And it got to a point where he'd even get egotistical and be like, acknowledge me. Like, I am your tribal chief. And the crowd even like booing him, cussing him out. And a fun fact I didn't even peep to realize in wrestling is they like boos. And at first I was thinking, like, why would y'all like to be booed? And the explanation I was given was that it's engaging. We're trying to engage the crowd. So whether they're cheering or booing, if the crowd is into it, big business. So with big business comes Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I'm pretty sure everybody in this room, everybody listening know who Dwayne The Rock Johnson is. If you're some man, no, don't get me started. But so The Rock, as we all know at this point in his life, he's an actor. He's a really big, famous guy. And he started off in the wrestling. I'm pretty sure he started off in wrestling. He ended up getting in Hollywood. So people consider him a part-timer. He comes to WWE sometimes and does what he wants to do and then leave out. Some people don't take a liking to that. So how this all ties in between Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, and The Rock is they want Cody Rhodes to finish his story. So he ended up leaving AEW, I think, a few years ago, and he made his return to the WWE in the Royal Rumble match. And he won the Royal Rumble match, meaning that the winner of that match gets to challenge the champion at WrestleMania. He challenged Roman Reigns. And one of the big common themes of Roman Reigns' matches is the bloodline. His family is going to always interfere and have him win the match. And that's what they did in that match against Cody. Cody loses. So now from last year up until now, the whole thing has been finishing his story. He's going to get that rematch with Roman. He's going to beat Roman Reigns, and he's going to finish his story. He's going to get the title that they took away from his dad and do all that. So as we're building up to that story, they throw in little things from here and there. They had a face-off. They have a little beef, all this, etc. It gets to January of last month, and the Royal Rumble is back again. And at this time now, another big wrestler by the name of CM Punk, Chicago-made Punk, returns, and now he's here to finish his story. And now we're having this dynamic of, it was so crazy, CM Punk told him that eventually now you're in a situation to where another big star is back that hasn't been here for a long time, and he's here to take your position at the top. He was alluding to Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who did the same thing to CM Punk some few years ago. CM Punk was the main champion, and The Rock just decided to randomly come back. He took the title from CM Punk, and he took CM Punk's WrestleMania event. And CM Punk is quoted saying, and I'm pretty sure I think this is a fact that this wasn't scripted. He was like, the fact that Dwayne The Rock Johnson's at main event in WrestleMania and I'm not, this is me off. And they was like, whoa, and then he ended up leaving the company after all that. So now we get to the Royal Rumble. Fast forward, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes are the last two. Cody Rhodes throws CM Punk over the top rope, wins the Royal Rumble again. We like, oh, bet Cody about to finish his story. He gets on the top rope, points to Roman Reigns. We like, oh, bet we getting this matchup. He gonna finish his story. They even put Cody Rhodes on the cover of the newest 2K game, and they're marketing it as finishing your story. So we like, bet he gonna do it. Out of nowhere, randomly, Dwayne The Rock Johnson comes back and takes the match from Cody Rhodes. He comes back. He's like, hey, I'm The Rock. I'm doing what I'm doing. And they made Cody Rhodes. It seemed as like he was giving the match to The Rock. They had Cody Rhodes come on SmackDown, Roman Reigns, and he was like, I'm going to finish my story. I'm going to fight you for the title. Just not at WrestleMania. And then The Rock's music come out. He come out. When I tell you the world was outraged, like people were so furious. You got people cussing The Rock out. F Triple H, F The Rock, F the company out. So getting real riled up about it.
What you say?
Because they thinking like shout out 50 Cent. They're saying since he's the COO or the main guy, they're like, why are you letting this happen? Which another part of this story, and to actually get to the press conference yesterday or the day before, The Rock is now on the board of directors of Wrestle at WWE.
You
so
see how messy they are. Like,
to make a state news for it to make sense to the state news people. So imagine you got Chris and then you got Jeremy Steele on the board. The Rock is Jeremy Steele. The Rock is Jeremy Steele right now.
The Rock is Jeremy?
Yeah, The Rock is Jeremy right now. So I say that to say
it like that.
The Rock.
Yeah, no, like you say he about to fight, but he just still sitting on the board of directors.
Yeah, it's a very weird.
About to fight. Actually, no, we're not gonna do that. What?
Now I'm just picturing The Rock with a really stupid bow tie.
Oh yeah, like Jeremy.
I like his bow ties, but so part of the story now they're saying The Rock is, since he's on the board, he's above Triple H because he's on the board. They're saying he's coming in and do whatever he wants to. He say, I want to be in the main event of WrestleMania. God darn it, well, I'm gonna be in the main event of WrestleMania.
It's my show.
Right, that's what he's saying. So now the press conference yesterday, it was around. We're thinking like Cody. Even though he let The Rock get in the match, he never officially made his choice of who he was going to fight at WrestleMania, and they have been teasing it like, oh, he still hasn't decided. So then he posts on Instagram, I made my decision. So we get to, by the way, I can't say what he posted, but Drew McIntyre, another wrestler, posted a quote tweet to that message and with a very funny gif telling him pretty much to shut it. It was a Rock. If you know the gif, it was The Rock saying, shut up, and then he said a cuss word. But he's stupid. So we get to the press conference, and then it's Seth Rollins, another champion there. He's talking, and then he calls out Cody Rhodes because he was asking Cody to fight him at WrestleMania because he feels Roman isn't worth his time, and et cetera, et cetera. So then instead of Cody coming out, Roman Reigns comes out, completely buries Seth Rollins. Like, oh, you love, bro, your title don't mean nothing. I run things around here, so I choose The Rock as my opponent. The Rock comes out. He's like, now listen to me. I don't care about the Cody crybabies. I don't care about nobody who wants him to finish his story. I'm The Rock, and we gonna have the biggest match at WrestleMania. And then they had a big poster of the Bloodline, and it's actually pretty sick. So The Rock and Roman Reigns are, like, in real life, I'm pretty sure, related, and the whole Bloodline is just all the wrestlers that are related in their family. And then he says, quote, we are the only royal family in wrestling. And obviously, as you know, if that's not true, Cody Rhodes literally comes out and was like, this some bull. And the crowd like, oh, it's Cody. So long story short with this whole story, Cody picked Roman Reigns to fight at WrestleMania, despite what The Rock or Roman Reigns wanted. And then Roman Reigns started talking to Cody like, you know what, you are embarrassing to yourself and your dad. And they was like, whoa. They was like, whoa. And it's so crazy how they bring in like real life and acting because his dad's actually dead. So he just bring that like, you are embarrassment to your dad. And then Cody like, you know, you want to talk about family? If your grandfather, and they looked at The Rock, and if your grandfather was here, they'd be disappointed in both of y'all. Whoa. And right, he was like, they'd be disappointed in both of y'all. So then The Rock was like, he walked up, he was like, stuck his hand out. He was like, now listen, when you talk about his family, you talk about my family. When you talk about his blood, you talk about my blood. So now we have a problem. And slapped them across the face. And the whole they started trying to fight and they had to break it up. It was crazy. And the night ended off Triple H. They interviewed Triple H because, again, he's the boss, quote unquote. And then he was giving an interview and The Rock walked up and was like, with Roman Reigns, and he was like, you have to fix this. And Triple H was like, it was out of line, and you know. He's like, it wasn't out of line. If you talk about my family again, either you fix it or we go fix it. I'm going to slap the taste out of his mouth. He didn't say taste, but he's like, I'm going to slap the taste out of his mouth. And then the night ends it. So just all of that in general, it's such an interesting word to be in, because obviously this is another thing. This isn't for everybody. And then one of the main criticisms is like, oh, this junk is fake. Why do you like this type of stuff? And somebody made a great example. They was like, okay. Or they made parts of the example, but the part of the example that I would just give is just like people, that's like asking somebody why they like Marvel movies. Like if you read the comics, you know what's going to happen. You know who Thanos is, you know who these people are. But just like when you go to the movies, I mean, you know it's not real. It's just entertainment. Mm-hmm. So, but again, it's not for everybody.
Or reality shows.
And right, reality.
Exactly.
I ain't gonna talk about it, but listen, and I like baddies, but if you like baddies and don't like WWE, it's the same thing. But regardless, just to end this episode, because I know again, Brad, we both got to do some editing things, just for you two, and then I'll say I said one of mine, but who are some of your favorite wrestlers growing up? If you want to go first, Shakyra.
Mine's, okay, of course you have John Cena. I know that's a little basic. Hold on. And
can the camera see us?
I don't think they can.
Like, I don't think they can. But
another one is Rey Mysterio. Bro, I love him. And then another one, it has to be Dolph Ziggler. I don't know.
What you know about the show off? What you, man?
I'm just saying.
He's also in. Well, I think he's went to TNA now, which is crazy. But yeah, that's a good lineup. Mm-hmm, okay, you want to go Demonte?
Booker T.
Ooh,
yo, listen. There's a clip. Demonte's so silly. He showed us a clip of Vince McMahon saying the N-word. Oh. He walked up to John Cena and was like, keep it up. Like, and then they pan to Booker T like, did he just say that?
What did he say?
It's so crazy. WWE was wild back then. We were talking about a white man saying the N-word.
Wait,
crazy.
He's white?
Yes, this is a white. They was crazy. They was doing some wild stuff back in the.
Yeah, WWE back then.
Like the farther back you go, the worse it was.
Yeah, they was unfiltered.
But yeah, just some of my favorite wrestlers other than Stone Cold Steve Austin. It would be John Cena. The Ultimate Warrior is another wrestler. He was my dad's favorite wrestler. He put me hip, and he cut one of the best promos of all time. To cut the story short, he was diagnosed with a sickness. I think it was cancer, but he was diagnosed with a pretty terminal illness. And he came on Raw one night talking about how you never got to get up. No matter what happens, you always got to push through it. And even if I'm not here, make sure you always feel what the Ultimate Warrior feels and keep moving on. And the very next day, he died. And that just, to have a promo like that, it was just eerie because it felt like he knew what was going to happen. So when you got wrestlers like that, and even, I wouldn't consider him one of my favorites, but like The Rock and just all these people, it's just entertainment. It's very entertaining, and it's very cool when they kind of tie in, the term they use is kayfabe, so faking it, and then, real world aspects, and then they bring people in like Bad Bunny was in wrestling, Logan Paul is in wrestling now. It's just so dog.
I personally don't consider him
Oh, let's talk about which one?
Logan Paul.
Hold on.
I mean, I don't consider.
If I have my matter of fact, pass me the prime bottle real quick. Pass me the prime bottle real quick to your right.
You know, with all the uncles sitting.
No, the prime bottle. The prime bottle. Yeah, matter of fact, hold on.
I said no.
Not sponsored.
No, we are not sponsored by them.
Not sponsored, but let me cut
disgrace.
Matter of fact, let me cut a segment. If this is for the What's on Your Mind podcast, the best drink on the market by two of the best content creators in the world, one of the best wrestlers in the world, Logan Paul and KSI. Let me cut my promo. Shout out Prime right now.
Two seconds ago, you said, hand me that. If I had known that was made by Logan Paul, I would not have handed you that. Give me that back right now.
Pride, shout out Pride.
Hold on. I mean, you still got KSI. You know, he's a great man.
KSI got his controversy too. And to give before I cut this promo with Demonte, to give a more serious outlook on just who Logan Paul is as an individual. He's done a lot of just dumb stuff. I don't even know. I was trying to be politically correct.
Unnecessary.
Just dumb, and then he
did too much.
Yeah, a lot. And one of the reasons why at least I can still be a fan of him currently is because it seems as though with all the BS that even sometimes he still do, it seems like he never BS's that situation. When he talks, from what I've heard him talk about, he's like, I'm paraphrasing, it was a very dumb thing, it was a very heartless thing to do, and it just wasn't okay. So for him to take that, and I'm not somebody, I try not to hold things, especially if I don't know you in real life anyway, it's just not that deep, but to hold those things that you've done 10 years ago to you forever. So obviously, that's not always the case. Like, once a race is always a racist. Once another R word, always that R word, if you can imagine what I'm talking about. But so it varies. But, yeah. So, to cut this promo with Demonte, so you said you don't feel he's a real wrestler. Have you seen his matches?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
I was actually at SummerSlam this past year.
You what? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
Actually, my brother went too. I'm so jealous because I was in Alabama. I'm like, dang. But how was it?
It was great up until that match.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Paul, he cheated. He had the.
Listen, he did what he had to. He did what he had to do.
But I will say,
he blatantly cheated. By the way, this man had brass knuckles and punched him in the face. And
hey yo,
I will say,
hey yo,
off topic. I don't want to dive into it because the whole thing, but I think the one thing I don't like about the WWE as a whole is basically what happened with Owen Hart.
Whoa, yeah, all right, we getting deep now. Or I'll let you fin, huh?
You said we're getting deep in it, baby.
No, you can.
Shout out going deeper. But yeah, to give context, this is a wrestler who passed away on the job, and one of his big things was he'd be on the what's the ropes?
It was I know what you're talking about.
I forget the name. Zipline. I think it's Zipline. I think it was Zipline. Either way, he was very high in the sky, and due to the equipment not being up to par how it should be, or just a malfunction, a very freakish accident, he fell from the sky and unfortunately landed and passed away. And then once you take into account that situation and then how the company did Bret Hart, if you know of any wrestling lore, Vince McMahon said, I didn't screw Bret, Bret screwed Bret. And it was just with that situation with his brother, and then it's called pretty sure it's called either the Vince McMahon screw job or one of the things, but just in a lot of these situations, pause. Yeah, you silly. Pause. But just in general, just RP Owen Hart, and then I'll let you end it off, Demonte here with just I don't know if he's making a point or just bringing it up, but
just like I don't think bringing Logan Paul is controversial. But Logan Paul is a controversial person, and that's just so yeah.
What's a common theme, and WWE I feel does a better job at it than other businesses, but they tend not to hold some of their biggest stars responsible. Like if you go towards the NBA, they still, and I'll just leave it at this. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. I'll explain to them after we're done recording. But they still sponsor Karl Malone. Matter of fact, I say I want to go talk about it. He got a 13-year-old pregnant, but they still sponsor Karl Malone as if it didn't happen. So, yeah, and it's just, I'm assuming the way they laugh, just based on how I delivered the message.
What are you talking about?
You gotta
The whole situation is not funny.
I'm not laughing. I get why they're laughing, and they're obviously not laughing.
No,
Yeah, not at all. But just they support him, and then the WWE has done a good job in not supporting this individual. But Hulk Hogan, only reason I'm not gonna call him the R word is because of just how the podcast is. But he don't like black people. Let's just talk about it like that. But I
never liked them. But you know,
if I speak about it objectively, he did a lot for the company. But people like this, or people like another thing in WWE is just they have shown, I'm not going to speak for them, but they don't really show that they care about people using steroids or other things of that nature. By the way, a very interesting conversation we had was if The Rock was on steroids. I'm going to just let y'all think about that. He, according to research, he says he's natural, so I don't know him. He's just a huge man. But with that being, no pause. I did not have pause, bro. What does it say? That's a big boy right there.
Pause.
But
no, not even pause. Stop the recording.
Yeah.
Well, the computer did that for us about 20 minutes ago.
But it's been well over an hour.
Right, yeah, and that's why I'm ending it now. Demonte, if you want to say one more thing.
I would, and it's really on a serious note.
Okay.
So for anyone who don't know, by the time this episode goes up, it would have been 1 year, the 1 year anniversary of the February 13th tragedy. I'm not sure if the camera's still on.
Could you specifically say what happened?
The camera's on, but I think you should speak up because it's going to be harder to pick you up.
Could you specifically say what the tragedy was? Because I saw something in Slack that made a great point of we, just like with the Monkey Day situation, we tend not to say what it was. So
right. Fortunately, on February 13th of 2023, 3 students unfortunately lost their lives when gunmen came on campus.
And if I'm not mistaken, 5 injured, correct?
And 5
or more injured, yes.
But Tuesday, I'm sorry, it's emotional, but their names Brian, Ariel, and Alexandra, sorry. But Tuesday would be the 1 year anniversary of what happened. Not sure when the episode is going up, but I would just want to personally say just take care of yourself. Take care of others around you. I want to personally let you know that your feelings are valid. Everything that you experienced that day, reporter or not, that goes for pretty much everyone in this room. It's all valid. There's no handbook to basically how to get through the heartbreak that is still there, that I still feel in my heart. But I just want to say, just continue to keep their families and your thoughts and prayers. Continue to keep the 5 students in your thoughts and prayers. Just be kind to yourself out there. So
please do. And I couldn't say it more beautifully myself. I won't get into the details just to get it too triggering, but this news office is very close to where it happened that day, especially if we're referencing to the Union, which dang near right across the street. So
right across the street too.
So it's just tragic that we have to say that we lived through a school shooting and people's lives were lost and way more were injured. One person, if I'm not mistaken, was paralyzed. I don't know if it's permanently paralyzed, but shout out James Harden, actually. The guy, James Harden was his favorite player, and James Harden met him, brought him out to the game, gave him some shoes. None of that brings his walking back. None of that unparalyzes him. So it's very disheartening and disappointing and just sad that that's something we've lived through, and it's also something that people did not get a chance to live through. So whatever you have to do, I'm glad the university has canceled classes that day, and they're going to make sure even throughout that week certain things are going to be had.
And no classwork is to be given out either, too. So.
Yeah, so it really sucks. It truly sucks, especially with how close we were in proximity. Not even just in this newsroom, but me, Jada, specifically, just how close we were that day and just how it affected everything. Mm-hmm. It sucks, but our job as reporters is to tell this story and to acknowledge that this, it was a school shooting, this happened, lives were lost, and their story will forever be told, and their memories will always be remembered, and Michigan State is still always going to continue and move forward no matter what. But it sucks that this is just another wound that this university has had to survive through, whether it be racism, death, sexual assault. Yes, that's a whole other thing that is a problem here on this campus. The people like us in this room and the people who talk about it move forward with it. And we acknowledge and express that all of your stories are heard and we care. And that it's very valid, like Demonte said, to feel what you feel and to heal however you need to. With that being said, thank you, Elle, for being in here and helping us record this episode and even showing that the recording has stopped. Thank you to Brad, who sets up the cameras and helps me edit this. Thank you to the people who have listened to this point. Thank you, Demonte, once again for being here. Like I was referring to Elle earlier, thank you to Shakyra, Jada, and Samaya for this podcast even being a thing. I'm very grateful to be a part of this platform, and this has been All Shades of Chocolate, where we've brought
the sweetest,
the hottest
Black culture to
MSU.
MSU.
And remember to stay sweet. Bye.